Here's a KIRO TV special presentation.
This is Kabul, the capital city of Afghanistan. This also is Kabul. The day after Christmas, 1979, Soviet troops invaded Afghanistan to prop up a faltering Afghan communist neighbor on their border. Immediately, Soviets installed a Marxist puppet regime in Kabul. Devout Muslim tribesmen from all over Afghanistan loaded their assault rifles, headed into the mountains, and dug in for a long and lopsided fight to win back their country. I was smuggled into Afghanistan by those Muslim guerrillas to report the war for KIRO TV in 1984. Do you know their Russian bones?
Yes, I was there at that time in the fighting time. It was last September, and the dogs eat all of them.
Recently, I returned to Afghanistan, where KIRO TV photographer Janine Weholt and I took a first-hand look at what 13 years of war has done to this legendary land and its people. The Soviet troops all left Afghanistan almost 3 years ago. But the war never stopped. Daily we heard the boom of rockets and the rattle of artillery in the capital of Kabul and in Herat province. Well, that's where all this shrapnel comes from, that's really mean looking. Often the deadly weapons of war interrupt the games of children.
They should be careful about those things which is lying on the land. But they are children. What is the fall of children? I don't know. What is the fall of children? Santa Chanda. He's in the first class.
I heard the other children screaming. I picked it up slowly and put it in my pocket. I put it down on the ground and it exploded.
Is this his mother over here?
Mother is here.
I have two sons. One is in the military and this one. I have 4 children. One was killed in the Afghan army and the other one died fighting for the resistance.
The United Nations says that Soviet and Afghan government warplanes have left 5 million unexploded mines lying in wait for curious children in the fields and villages of Afghanistan. The mines terrorize and maim, but sophisticated long-range rockets wipe out entire homes and families. Rockets America has supplied the Mujahideen. Rockets the Soviets have supplied the Afghan regime. In just one day, 18 rockets struck all around us in Kabul a few weeks ago. They were all aimed at residential neighborhoods.
She lost her father, she lost her mother, she lost her 20-year-old brother, and some other member of family.
You're very brave.
She said that when we heard the sound of a rocket, we fell down on the ground. Then we couldn't understand what happened to us.
Are you going to get a new leg here? This little girl's father and cousin were killed. Her home was destroyed. 4 members of this girl's family were injured by a rocket, and her home was also destroyed. The Red Cross will make them new legs.
We're treating something like 145 patients a month as an average this year. They're almost all amputated due to mine injuries. Out of our patients, 12% are children. Very often they're amputated on both legs due to the mines.
After 13 years of war, starvation stalks Afghanistan.
I don't have my own milk, so I gave him baby powder, 2 or 3 small cans a week, depending on how much money we have. My husband is an engineer. He was educated in the Soviet Union. He makes $6 a month and works in a business office after hours for a second job. I have 4 children. This baby is 5 months. The others are 3, 4, and 6 years old.
That means a trained engineer holding down 2 jobs must support a family of 4 on $6 a month. Will the baby be all right when the baby starts eating?
Same problem is there. They have very poor. They have ignorance. The war is going on. There is inflation, and for that reason, the family members are not able to prepare a good food for the children.
When they get to the bazaar to buy food, their money won't stretch far enough.
Most people can't buy these things. It is too expensive. Most people can only buy low-grade rice, which can only be boiled.
Convoys of trucks haul the food supplies from Pakistan and the Soviet Union. When the Mujahideen close the roads in ground attacks, food prices in Kabul skyrocket. Everybody hurts, but especially the children. So there's little hope for these children. They are the helpless victims of both warring sides, just as the children of Afghanistan have been war victims for 3,000 years of turbulent history. Some of them, who were hustled out of the country to escape the war, are coming home again. They fled to Iran. They are returning to the ancient citadel city of Herat, where this war began 13 years ago. Herat, legendary city near the Afghan-Iran border. It was here that angry tribesmen first took up arms against their brothers in Kabul, who, they believed, had betrayed Islam when they turned to a Marxist government. We wanted to see if modern warfare had destroyed this fabled city of the East. The governor of Herat sent an armored personnel carrier to taxi us into the city. Why is he twirling that gun around? Why are we even using the gun?
This is just for security purposes, to not someone shoot from somewhere.
Oh, the hotel!
Yes.
What a royal escort! All in the interest of security, no doubt. A famous Mujahideen commander, Ismail, controls the area surrounding Herat. Even refugees returning from Iran must carry special identity cards to gain safe passage. It is dangerous, but for many, the urge to come home overwhelms caution. The day we arrived in Herat, 600 Afghan refugees came back home. They came to this government resettlement center called Friendship House. How did you get here? Did you walk?
The machine? Yes, she says I came by bus.
I was living in Mashhad and we didn't own a house. We just stayed in a corner of a woman's house and I washed clothes and cleaned for a living with them. We want to go home to Rozgan in Afghanistan. I live in poverty. I want to go home.
The reason I moved to Iran with my mother was to get away from the war.
To many, their return was an ordeal fraught with terror.
At every checkpoint, we were ripped off. We had to give bribes, money to get through. We don't know who took our money. We know they had guns in their hands, and they took our money. We couldn't recognize them.
They said they walked for 7 hours. They believed their armed robbers were brother Afghans, members of the Muslim resistance. Why are they closing the gates?
Because they're going to process those people, then finish the rest.
They got home just in time for dinner. In time to socialize and hear a word from the mullah, to light up on home soil, and for one young boy to spend a first night in a brand new country. A country where the night still rocks with the sounds of gunfire. In the morning, we searched out the families we had talked to last night. Salam alaikum. Hi. Salam alaikum.
We received some letters saying our province was under government control and it was safe to come home. We will be glad to get home. In Iran, we had no home, no country. In Iran, we were suffering.
He says my mother is very sick, says to the doctor to see her.
I got sick on the way from Iran. My heart is swollen up really bad. God help me. I cannot eat anything. I'm getting too old and I still haven't seen my friends yet. During the war, when my son was killed and we left for Mashhad, I was very sad because my son was gone. I have 2 boys left and 1 daughter who lives in Afghanistan, and I don't want to lose them. My husband was also killed in the war 13 years ago. I lost my little boy and my husband, so I went with a bleeding heart to Iran. I aged in Iran. Since I have a daughter in Afghanistan, I asked my sons to take me back home.
Could someone take her to the clinic?
Yes.
Thank you. The resettlement center has a house doctor who examines and treats all refugees before they leave on the final leg of the long road home. Did you put friends and relatives together in the same tent?
Some of them be with their relatives.
Well, that's good. Men without families who return as refugees are put up in the time-honored all-weather portable housing unit for desert and tundra, the Mongolian yurt.
Let's go inside.
Felt.
This is salt.
Felt?
Yeah.
The director of this resettlement program is Zia Kohistani. He says yurts work better than tents in a refugee settlement. The Soviets send these sticks, already curved, right? And the felt, already cut and stitched.
Yeah.
So all you have to do when you get it is put it together. These men are all from the northern border province of Maimana. They have been working as construction laborers in Iran from 8 to 11 years. All of them left families in Afghanistan.
We just went to Iran to have some job because we have family. It was impossible for me to feed them.
Why are you coming back then, now that you're all working over there?
We spent 8 years in Iran. We are very tired. very bad conditions. Every day we were very busy. The work was hard.
I want them to tell me what they're coming back to.
We came back to Afghanistan to see our relatives, to visit our village, to work in our own country.
You could have come back any time. You didn't have to have a declaration of reconciliation. You could have just come back any time. Why didn't you come back a long time ago?
We have 5 million refugees in Pakistan and Iran, but we want to be in our own country in peaceful conditions, to give a chance for the people to rebuild again the country. We want to have a government that loves the people, to start working, to build the country, to give us more freedom. We are now thinking about stopping the war. This is most important for us, to stop the war. Then we can select or choose a government that we want.
He was in Iran all alone and left his family here? How many years?
11 years.
He hasn't seen his family for 11 years? He'll have 12 and 13-year-old children?
Yes.
Maybe you won't know them when you see them.
Yes, you're right.
Some of the families who returned to embattled Herat resettled near the city, which is still under regular and heavy attack at night, but is relatively secure. This family has come home after 7 years in Iran.
The war was started and our house was destroyed. And my 15-year-old son was killed in the war. When he was walking to work, a rocket hit near him. He got hit here. Our brain was burned out and we had to leave.
15.
15. I'm very sorry.
Her husband is in the military. The other man works and must support all of us. It's difficult. That's our problem. In Iran, on our way here, it was cold. The children got sick. We heard noise of guns. It was hard. We walked part of the way, but we were stopped and bothered by Iranian guards. They didn't want us to leave the area. We had refugee passes from Iran government, but they took away our card at the border. We were so happy to be back. This is our country. We will do any kind of work to support ourselves.
What do you hope for Afghanistan? What kind of a country do you hope it will be?
I want it to be quiet and peaceful. The young people should be free, and the whole world should be at peace. Peace should come soon, so we won't lose any more young people. I don't care about me because I'm old.
Another refugee family left Friendship House with us to return to their home near Kabul. This is the last leg on a long and frightening journey back from self-imposed exile, back to friends and family, back to beloved homes that most of these Afghans walked away from almost a decade ago. We entered the cocoon of our Ariana Plain to cross the Hindu Kush mountain range on our way back to Kabul. 2 American women journalists, unveiled Western infidels doing men's work. We became a captive audience for a startling and unnerving Islamic concert. They are provincial mullahs, 2 groups. Some are Sunni, the others are Shiite. They are theological enemies on their way to a religious meeting in the capital. Undisturbed by this exotic performance, the refugee baby slumbers. Only the pilots and the nervous Western journalists seem apprehensive. How long have they been gone?
چقدر مدت در ایران بوده؟
6 سال.
6 years.
6 years.
I own a house in Kabul.
Are you glad to be home?
خوش هستین دوباره
Oh yes, I'm very happy. Why shouldn't I be happy to be home?
Why shouldn't they be happy to be home? Perhaps because Kabul and Herat are tightly controlled armed camps, saturated by spies, and cloistered in fear under a no-nonsense curfew. As Kabul dusk falls, the shopkeepers hastily close their stalls. The cacophony of traffic stills. Abruptly, the streets clear, and the fresh-faced boys, armed with machine guns, take over the city. Password. The password? Not even our government host could drive after curfew without the password of the night. As we discovered, any time after dark, we were liable to be stopped by an edgy soldier.
کجا؟ این ور موتور کثیر میشه.
تلاشی میکنی؟
تلاشی.
رقمی که. خب که تلاشی که چرا تلاشی میکنی؟
بس ما گفتیم که استاد که تو آره ترکش دادی که بالا بلا.
برادر من ترایج نیدم خود تاریکی.
The government has hired eyes and ears everywhere. It wasn't long before I realized I had my own private spook. He's the man in the center, casting a suspicious eye on our camera. Fine-looking tribesman from Paktia province, where I had been smuggled in twice by the resistance guerrillas. I wasn't trying to hide my sympathy for the opposition, so I introduced myself to my shadow. He told me he is called Gulbaz. We discovered we were both television news junkies. Gulbaz is, in many ways, a link between the benchmarks in Afghanistan's tumultuous history. He is typical of the fiercely independent tribal Afghans who have stood off waves of invaders, who have for centuries coveted this crossroad between the continents. Defensible perimeter of Kabul. For more than 2,000 years, this city has been overrun by hordes of marauders and despots. Out to conquer the world in 320 BC, Alexander the Great made Kabul his garrison town. Later, the Mongols swooped down from the north, and Genghis Khan ruled here with an iron fist. The great Tamerlane, founder of the Mughal Empire, conquered this land. But he left it with beauty and culture, and his grandson, Babur the Tiger, founded the modern city of Kabul. Babur chose to be buried here. This lavish public park keeps his memory alive. Today, the old wall is barely discernible against the brassy skies through which hurl high-tech weapons aimed blindly at targets far beyond the range of human eye. Today, the defensible perimeter of Kabul is deep behind the range of lofty Pagman mountains. This is the artillery control center west of Kabul. From this hill, the artillery commander observes the movement of the Mujahideen in the Pagman Mountains. The soldiers took me on a tour through the underground bunkers built by the Soviets. The lake, it's beautiful, and in the mountains behind it, and that little resort we visited. I had no idea we were this close to a key outpost when we were at that lake. This is where those government rockets land. These pictures of the other side of the Pagman Mountains that cup the city of Kabul were taken by a Seattle Afghan guerrilla fighter in December 1987. Aziz Sadat went to battle with a Mujahideen unit carrying American rockets and the sophisticated heat-seeking Stinger missile.
This is exactly the same area that we were going to attack, or we were attacking from the mountain of Pagman. And our aim was to destroy this base, military base, and capture military posts and breaking the security belt around the city. Yes, I do recognize this mountain. Of course, I lived across from this mountains in the city of Kabul for a long time, and I have been in those mountains before the war, and we know our way very well, better than the communist government did in Afghanistan. And we moved around very easily, and the local people were cooperating, and we were coming up and down the mountains all night. We had heavy machine guns, light machine guns, hand grenades, mines for the road. We had anti-aircraft, Stinger missiles, blowpipe, British made, and anti-tank weapons. We had a very successful operation, and we hit our targets, and we captured 2 security posts. We captured the soldiers and their equipment, and actually we brought some of the soldiers all the way to Pakistan with us.
But 2 years ago, the Pagman villages were captured by government forces, and the families are quietly farming their lands again.
We finished the military activity and took this area. There's a security belt the government is in charge of. For the last 2 years, it has been calm here. As you see, everyone is picking up their crops. We have a good relationship with the people.
But the well-equipped resistance also has rockets with a range of 28 kilometers. Almost daily, they scream into the heart of Kabul from behind the Pagman mountain ridge. 2 times rockets supplied to the Mujahideen by the United States have hit the American embassy compound in Kabul. This rocket blew out windows and damaged a building shortly before the State Department closed the embassy in 1987. Twice the Mujahideen have hit city buses loaded with civilians. 21 Kabul citizens were killed and 50 others hospitalized when a rocket lifted this bus 6 feet into the air a few weeks ago.
I was in the bus stop. The people were riding and going down off the bus. The rocket came and hit the bus. And the bus was lifted by the rocket from the ground.
He's a bit confused. A piece of the rocket is hit at ear. And he also has fractures in the hand, and he's had amputation of his thumb and also of his index finger because they were so badly injured. Suddenly the rocket hit the bus, and then the bus became like a smoke. Some people get out and some people cannot.
For those who could not get out, friends built a street memorial, a place to say goodbye. When the rocket hit the bus about 60 feet away, the front of this small pharmacy shop dropped down and the shrapnel went through it. There was a father and 3 small children sitting on the corner. All 4 of them were killed. The rocket attack on the city bus closed the schools for 10 days. That tragedy was caused by just 1 rocket. Some days, as many as 18 rockets fell in residential areas of Kabul.
My wife was washing clothes. 2 of my children were studying, and I was holding my baby when I heard the sound of a rocket.
For one daughter who was inside studying, rocket shrapnel struck her anyway. She was wounded slightly. Others weren't so lucky.
A soldier who was on leave was killed here. I live across the street. It happened 6:30 in the morning. I saw 3 rocket hit this place. My house was also damaged. I told the boy not to play around here, but he thought it is not going to hit here. When I came, I saw his body. He was smashed, except for his face. He was killed instantly. All the neighbors were here. Then his wife came. He is married with 3 children.
In the heart of Kabul, the terror rides the rockets. On its edges and in the villages and mountain valleys, the youth of the nation are being cut down by a carpet of mines laid by both sides.
Most of our patients are from the government side. They are ex-soldiers. But as ICRC since a year have started setting up first aid posts around Kabul, we have also received more and more from the opposition sides.
These two ex-soldiers lost their legs to mines laid by their own government.
Our waiting list is 2,046 patients.
13 years of war have decimated an entire generation of Afghans. A total of 1.5 million have been killed in a nation of only 16 million people. A quarter of the nation's people fled the war and have yet to return to their ravaged, battle-weary land. Thousands of Afghan women are widows with no husband to make a life for them and their children. The lives of women will be forever altered in the new Afghanistan. Afghan women say they want peace and they want an Islamic government. But some fear it could mean a setback for women. A Kabul University student expressed the dilemma. Do you have to make a choice between Muslim and equality, or can you have both?
We are confused and we are in doubt about Muslim and equivalence. This is a big problem in Afghanistan. Which one they are choose?
There is some evidence that Afghan men are equally confused about equality for women. When Afghan President Najibullah installed electric trolleys in Kabul, he hired all women drivers. The traditional tribal leaders were outraged. The women drivers were fired. Yet many of the tribal leaders who objected to women bus drivers applauded with enthusiasm this provocative dancing at an Independence Day event. If an Afghan woman has no husband, it is acceptable for her to hold a job outside the home. The factories of Kabul are filled with war widows. Her husband died when his truck was blown up by a mine on the battlefield. She works here to support their child, but she will not marry again.
I wouldn't marry again because of my daughter's future.
Because a new husband would not accept her child as his own. At the highest levels of the regime so hated by the Muslim resistance, a non-party Muslim woman holds a strategic office. She is the Minister of Education, a member of Najib's presidential cabinet, but no friend of the regime. She said the war has destroyed 2,000 schools with all their equipment. And she says 70% of all Afghan children and young people are now illiterate. Fewer than a third of the nation's girls go to school at all.
We will have a very hard time, we will have a lot of problems, but still when we get our compatriots to come back to Kabul, to Afghanistan, we will be very pleased to receive them and to make all type of facilities for them to go to schools.
During the 40-year Afghan monarchy that ended 13 years ago, Kabul City was tolerant of Western dress and ideas. Women had office jobs. They worked in shops. They were educated in Kabul University. But the surge of Islamic fervor that rolled over Central Asia more than a decade ago swept away Western notions of equality for women. Afghans' jihad, the holy war to cleanse Kabul of secular Marxism, was also dedicated to returning women to seclusion and the veil. But it may be too late. We talked to Afghan women of many lifestyles in Kabul and Herat. Most seem to believe the Holy Book of Quran does not deny Islamic women the right to equality in educational, economic, and even social opportunity. Her name is Lida. She is 20, a Kabul University senior in the English language department. Tell me about women here. Do you expect to have a job, a career?
No, sir.
No?
No.
You don't want one?
No, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
Yeah.
Zarmina, also a 20-year-old university senior, has a different point of view.
There is the Afghan people think that women are weaker than man, the woman. But I want to I want to women become stronger, become strong like a man. They could do some work like a man. I want to work for my country. Every woman have a great desire to work like a man in office, in factories, in some other job, some other place.
Young Afghan men are quicker than their elders to recognize women's rights.
The women should have equal right as men. And as you know that in our country, most of the time, since long time, I can say since long time, most of the women have been under the influence of their parents. And in the past years, they didn't have much right as they have now. And now, as you see, that by the kindness of the government, they are allowed to work in some offices and even in the ministries and these things. And I desire for all the women to have the equal right.
But on Islamic Friday, a trip to the popular Lake Karga resort revealed that holidays are for men to enjoy, even in tolerant Kabul. Why are the women not around?
Afghan peoples are Muslim, and there is no allowed permission for women that they are walking in the park with men.
Women have permission to enjoy the resort, but not to mix with the men.
I agree with these people, and it's right that men and women should be equal.
But he's not so sure about equality in public.
Because Islam doesn't allow too much the women to be in contact with men.
Islam, equality, democracy. Afghans say they want it all. President Najibullah says it's what he wants too. And he says he's ready to give up the presidency to get free, secret, democratic elections. But stubborn fundamentalist Islamic resistance generals say they won't lay down their arms until Najibullah is ousted in a military victory.